For section 3.4, this is our last section for chapter 3. We're going to learn how to draw a box plot. So I'm going to explain how to do a box plot by in our guided notes here. And after that, I'm going to show you how to actually draw the graph, draw the box plot on Alex. So I will share my screen to show you how that can be done. All right, so we need the 5-number summary in order to draw the box plot. So here's what we have. A box plot can be used to graphically represent the data set. These plots involve with 5 specific values. And what we have here, what are the 5 specific values? The lowest value from the data set, which is the minimum. Q1, the median of the data set, which is, we know that's Q2 from our previous lesson. Sorry, I said Q2, but I wrote Q3. The median, which is Q2. Next, we have Q3 and the highest value from the data set, which is the maximum. So now, from our previous lesson, we know how to find the 3 quartiles already. Then we just look at our arranged data to find the minimum value and the maximum value, put it together with the 3 quartiles, which we have the 5-number summary to draw a box plot. All right, so here it explains how to draw the box plot in detail, but I'm going to show you how you actually do that in terms of an example. All right, so before we get to an example, I wanted to quickly go over on how do we comment on the distribution. So in section 3.1, we learn how to comment on a distribution by comparing the mean and the median, right? Here, in terms of box plot, how can we comment on the distribution, whether it's symmetric, negatively skewed or skew left, or positively skewed or skew right? We are comparing the distance from the median to the minimum, all right? So if the distance from the median to the minimum value is about the same as the distance from the median to the maximum value, then the distribution is approximately symmetric. So you're comparing from the median, from your Q2 here with your minimum, your Q2 here with your maximum. All right, if it's about the same, then the distribution is symmetric. Now, if you're comparing the distance from the median to the minimum value, if what you have here is longer than the distance from the median to the maximum value, then the distribution is negatively skewed or skew left, okay? So if the distance from the median to the minimum value is longer than the distance from the median to the maximum value, the distribution is negatively skewed. So meaning that you have more on the left-hand side. Now, when you have more on the right-hand side, meaning that the distance from the median to the maximum value is longer than the distance from the median to the minimum value, this case would be positively skewed or right skewed or skew right. Okay, so the 5-number summary to draw a box plot. Let's take a look at what I have here for example 1. Construct a box plot for the following data, which represent the number of Indian pitch by the ERA leaders for the past few years. Comment on the shape of the distribution, whether it's negatively skewed, positively skewed, or symmetric. So let's take a look at the box plot first, and I'm going to show you how we actually comment on the distribution. And what you notice here, this data is the same data that we did in section 3.3, okay? It was our last problem, which is the practice problem, and from 115 to 264, okay? So what this is telling us here, we have, this data here, we already have the 5-number summary. So from our work from earlier, okay? So we're going to find the 5-number summary, min, the 3 quartiles, and the maximum value. All right. So on Alex, it's possible that you get a box plot, and then I ask you to identify the 5-number summary. Or it's possible that you get a raw data. I asked you to do a box plot from scratch. Okay, so from our data earlier, we know that 115 is the minimum value and 264 is the maximum value. So the data from our previous lesson. When we did the 3 quartiles, we found that 215.5 was our value for Q2, 192 was our value for Q1, and 238 was our value for Q3. All right, so now we're going to focus on how to construct a box plot. So what you're going to do, you're going to draw a number line. And what you notice here, we're ranking from 115 to 264. I'm going to go ahead and start off with 110. And the best thing about it, when you do your graph on Alex, you don't have to worry about creating the grid. The grid is already created for you. You just need to key in the number, then the system will plot it, okay? Or if you have a box plot given, then you're going to just read the 5-number summary. All right, so here is what? 230, 240, 250. Oh, I'm short, 260, a little bit more here, that's fine. Okay, so what we have here, we have the 5-number summary. I'm going to draw the min at 115. I'm gonna place a dot here. 192, okay. We have 215.5 right here, 238 right here, and the max is a little bit over 260. Now, how to draw the box part? Your Q1, Q2, and Q3 will form the box part. Your min to your Q1, you draw a line like this, okay? You use the 3 quartiles, you form the box part. So this is the box part. And from your Q3 to the maximum value, you also have another line. So let me label this one for you. So Q1 is 192. Once you have the 5-number summary, which you learned how to find it from the previous lesson, then to do the box plot is very straightforward. Okay, the box part coming from the 3 quartiles, and this is the max equal to 264, which is this number at the end here. This one here, the min equal to 115. That's it. That's how you draw your box plot. Now, comment on the distribution, whether it's negatively skewed, positively skewed, or symmetric. The easiest way is you look at your median. You look from the median here. Okay, then you compare the distance. You take the value of the median minus the value of the minimum value. So here we have the median of 215.5 minus 115, which this distance here is 100.5, versus the maximum value of 264, you're going to minus 215.5. You always take the larger number, subtract the smaller number. Minus 215.5, and here we only have the distance of 48.5. And we do see that. We do see that from my graph. We do have a much longer left side. Therefore, this is the distribution we're going to classify as negatively skewed. Or another word is skew left. Negatively skew or skew left, because we'll look from the median to the minimum value, we have much longer left side. And how we can tell much longer? We can take the difference between T2 and the minimum value. Versus if we look from the maximum value to Q2, we have much shorter right side. Okay? And how we can tell that? We can just do the subtraction. Taking 264 minus 215.5. That's how you do your box plot. Now I have a practice problem, but on your homework, it's very, very similar problem. So I'm going to go ahead and project your assignment for section 3.4 to show you how that can be done on Alex. So bear with me here. Let me open the assignment for section 3.4. Now, when you have a problem with two sets of data, you're going to do a box plot for each set of data. So please keep in mind that you don't lump sum it all together, because what we have here, if you see a problem like this, meaning that you have two sets of data. Well, with two sets of data, then we're going to work on one set of data at a time. All right. So let me open up our homework for section 3.4. Yes, so 3.4 is very, very short once you know what to do from section 3.3 already. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen here on the assignment. Let me open up. Hold on. It's not open up yet. Okay. All right. I'm ready to share here. Okay. Let me make sure that, okay. So the problem come up that you are reading it from my share screen for this problem. Okay. For the first question for your homework assignment on Alex, what it's asking here is asking us to identify the 5-number summary, which we know exactly what to do. This is very, very similar to our assignment from example 1, which is we know how to find the 3 quartiles from section 3.3. And we look at the range data. We have the minimum value, which is the lowest value, and the maximum value, which is the highest value. Here it tells us round your answer to 1 decimal place as needed. Okay, so nothing that I need to show you in example in question number 1. Question number 2, what we have with this question, similarly, but what we see from this question, we see that the data is in terms of 1 decimal place, and what it's asking us here to also round to 1 decimal place. So we're looking for a 5-number summary. Now, look at this problem. What I'm asking you to do in this problem is that what we have here, given the box plot, we're going to identify the 5-number summary. So what you notice here, that it listed with the maximum value first. You're going to key in 105. What we see here, the maximum I see here is 80. The median, which is right in the middle of the box part, 95. First quartile, which is Q1, is 85. Third quartile is Q3, which I believe that looks more like 100 instead of 101 to me. So let's try 100. Okay, and let's check. That would what I would read from the 5-number summary. Then now you go on to compute the interquartile range, which you know that the interquartile range, you take the value of the third quartile is Q3 minus the first quartile of Q1, which we don't need to do that. Now, here is what I'm really interested in showing you. What we have here, it has 5 cursor. So it has 5 cursor. Whatever your value for your min, you're going to move it so that, you know, so that is according to the problem. Whatever your Q1, your Q2, Q3, and your maximum value. So we look at this data here. We're going to arrange in order. So let me jot down the data first. We have 186, 238, 217, 213, 187, 228, 214, 264, 170, and 238. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my other my other camera to project what we have in the data so we can work together. We can work on this together. We're going to arrange the data in order from lowest to highest. Okay, what we see for my lowest here, I see that we have 170 is the lowest. Next, we have 186. We have 187. We have 213, 214, 217, 238, 238. Well, wait, 217, sorry about that. Next is 228, 228, then 238, 238, and 264. Let me see, making sure that I have them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got it. All right. So because we have 10 data values, what we have here, we cannot split with 5 and 5. We would not have anything in the middle. So we're going to split with the lowest. We're going to split with the lowest 4. We're going to split with the lowest, highest 4. And here is what we have. 214 and 217. 214 plus 217, we have this number divided by 2, we have 215.5. Very, very similar to the data that we did, very, very similar to the data that we did earlier, but it's not quite exactly the same, okay? So Q2 equal to 215.5. Now we're going to find Q1. We're going to take all the data values that fall below 215.5, which we have 170, 186, 187, 213, and we also take 214. Okay, here we have 5 data values. That leaves us one middle value here. This is our value for Q1 of 187. Then we're going to find Q3. We're going to take all the data values that fall above 215.5. So above 215.5, we have 217, 228, 238, 238, and 264. So we see that we have 5 data values. That leaves us with one in the middle here. This is our value for Q3. All right, then now we can actually get, let's write down our 5 number summary. Then we can actually get a box plot right away. So 5 number summary. From our range data, we see that the minimum value is 170. The 3 quartiles, be careful. Of the 3 quartiles, we can keep Q2 first. So 215.5, Q1 is 187, Q3 is 238, and the maximum from the data set is 264. Okay, so keep in mind, these are our 5 number summary values. I'm going to go back to share my screen on Alex so we can see how we can do a box plot. So my advice for you is that you move the cursor until it gets to the value that you wanted to graph on the problem. So our problem here is 170. So our minimum value is 170. Before we go to the graph, I'm going to go ahead and spread out what we have with the 5 cursor first. That way it's easier for me. Okay, so I'm going to move the minimum cursor to 170. So as we move, we can see that the number is moving and then we stop at where we want to stop. Next, this one is our Q1. Q1 from our data, we found that it was 187. So I'm going to move till we get to 187 here. We don't have the option to key in, but just to move the cursor. Our Q2 is 215.5. Our Q3 is 238. And our maximum value is 264. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and double check my 5 cursors. So what I see here, 170, 187, 215.5, not 215. There we go. this one 238 and 264. So my advice for you is that, because sometimes when we move our cursor, a teeny bit can change the value and we didn't notice that. So after you graph the 5-number summary, go back to double check. So here we have 170, 187, 215.5, 238 on this cursor, last cursor at 264. I believe we have it. Okay, that's how you draw your box plot. Then now, definitely part B of this question is going to ask you to comment on the distribution. So we compare from the median, and our median is 215.5. So we look at the distance from the median to the minimum value. 215.5, you minus the minimum value of 170, and let's see what this distance here. The distance from the median to the minimum value is 45.5 versus from the maximum value of 264 minus 215.5, I see we have 48. So very much similar. The distance from the median to min is 45.8 and the other one is 48.8. So I would say this distribution is approximately symmetric. We do see very much symmetry on both sides, right? It's not exactly the same on both sides. That's why you see the word approximately. All right, and I think that would do it. So we double check our part 2 of the question. What I have here, I claim that is symmetric and that will do it. Okay. Now, similarly, for what we have for question number 5, again, before you go on to graph, my advice for you is somewhat spread out your 5 cursors so that way they're not so close together. That way they're easier for you to see, which one is the first cursor, which one is the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay, that's question number 5. Question number 6, you have 2 sets of data. So one is for Baltic Sea and one is for Aleutian Islands. So you're going to do a box plot for each set of data. All right. So very, very similar with what I have. So I don't need to go on further and you don't need to do the practice problem from your guided notes. You can do your assignments on Alex already. So thank you so much for watching. And that's all I have for section 3.4.